Okay, so today's class will discuss about emergent RDS, that is Relational Database Service. And you might have already have some knowledge or experience on the database side. Okay, so database is the most important and most used. That is the only one service, and all the companies, right? All the companies must have the databases in there. Either they have different flavor of like different companies, different flavor of databases they have, like SQL, MySQL, Oracle, or PostgreSQL, MariaDB, and all these, right? So similarly, Amazon RDS also provides the databases. Okay, and that's called, the service name is Relational Database Service, Amazon Relational Database Service. So before we are doing the practice, what exactly the Relational Database Service, let's understand what is this particular service is and what are the benefits we'll get out of using this cloud service. Also, what are the features it has. Okay, so let's see what is Amazon RDS. Let me make it slide slow. So Amazon Relational Database Service is a web service that makes it easier to set up, operate, and scale a relational database in the AWS cloud, right? So what it does, it is easier to set up. As it is a web-based service, we can easily set up the databases, whatever is required for our requirement or usage. And scale the relational database in the AWS cloud. That means we don't have to worry about the database shortage, the storage, the database size issues or anything, right? It will be automatically scaled. We have that options, we have that features with Amazon RDS, which will automatically scale a relational database in case of any more database size is required. It provides cost efficient, resizable capacity for an industry standard relational database and manages common database administration tasks. Like the database task, what we perform whenever we manually install some databases on our machine, whether it is cloud or on premises or in our laptop or desktop, right? So what do we have to do? We have to manage it, right? Some kind of DBA task, database administration task, right? Same, it provides that for us. We don't have to worry about the DBA part. We don't worry about the maintenance part. Okay, so what is this databases more about? It provides actually these 6 kind of databases. If you see this picture, whatever is given here, I got it from the AWS documentation page. Okay, what it provides: Amazon Aurora, MySQL, MariaDB, PostgreSQL, Oracle, and Microsoft SQL Server. So these are the relational databases which AWS provides. Okay, the next one will be, it has 2 key features, which is most important, guys, to understand what exactly these 2 features are. One is the multi-AZ for disaster recovery. What is this multi-AZ? This is multiple availability zone, multi-availability zone for disaster recovery, and read replica for performance. Read replica for performance. Okay, so let's understand more detailed about this multi-AZ and disaster recovery. So think about this multi-AZ. We have like 2 availability zone, AZ1 and AZ2, and we have the RDS endpoint where we have connected to the database API, the EC2 instances, and it's connected to the API through where we are connecting to the databases, right? In case the availability zone 1 got some issues and unavailable, what will happen? It will automatically get failover to the availability zone 2, AZ2. So you don't have to do it. So questions will be coming in your mind whether we have to do all these setups. No, you don't have to manually. You don't have to do manually. All the things you have to do while creating the databases, you have to select the options whether do you need the disaster recovery or not. So multi-AZ is required for the disaster recovery. So what is the disaster recovery, guys? Most of you might know about this disaster recovery, right? The disaster recovery, see, you should be aware about that if you're working on a real-time scenario in organizations. Always the organizations, big organization, I'm talking about the big enterprises, big organization, they always have a backup system, right? They always have a disaster recovery system. That's called the DR databases or DR systems. That means the primary database, in case any issues, in case any disaster happened, like the cyclone, fire, right, earthquake, those kind of disaster happen, what will happen? They have the disaster recovery system where it automatically will fall down to the disaster recovery site. Okay, and definitely they keep the disaster recovery site in a different availability zone. Okay, suppose we have in India, we have two regions now. One is the Mumbai region, another is going to be the Hyderabad region, right? Suppose in Mumbai region, we have three availability zone, right? In that three availability zone, we have kept our databases in AG1. Suppose it is in Bangalore. The other one, suppose, is kept in somewhere in Chennai. I'm just giving an example, okay? If something happened in the Bangalore in Karnataka, suppose there is some flood happened and all the data centers, whatever is kept in the Bangalore availability zone, the data center is flooded and there is no connections to the database. So what will happen? We'll have still the secondary databases will be available in another availability zone, which is situated in Chennai, which have the connectivity access. And we'll have the 100% of API connectivity or the application connectivity or application uptime. That means the customer will not be affected. Okay, so I'm just elaborating this more so that everyone in this class can understand clearly what is the meaning of the disaster recovery. That is most important whenever you go, and it will give you more confidence if you understand something, right? Good. Now here there is some like the versus, like the differences between SQL and NoSQL databases. As here, if you see here, right, we have, these are the relational database services provides, right? And these are the SQL databases, like structured query languages, like structured databases. But Amazon also provides NoSQL databases, right? The NoSQL databases, you're like, what will be your NoSQL databases? DynamoDB. Okay, DynamoDB is a NoSQL databases. So let's see what is the difference of this SQL and NoSQL. So SQL is the databases are categorized as relational database management system, that is RDBMS. So these, what I'll do, I'm not going to read out all these things. I think it's very simple things. You can get it from the internet. What is the difference between SQL and NoSQL? This is not part of this. I've just simply added it so that you'll get some ideas. Okay. Okay. Let me just go through this, but it will take more time if I go completely. So guys, are you okay if you just get it by yourself, or do you want me to explain it?
We'll take that.
Do you want to explain? Okay. Fine. So what do you say is SQL?
No, we'll take care. We'll we'll go through.
Okay, fine, good. That's okay, because it will take more 10 minutes to explain all these things. So go through this. So guys, just search in the Google, find it, what is the difference between SQL and NoSQL. Try to find it out, what is NoSQL and all. Just have some knowledge and don't go deep inside, okay? You'll be lost again. Don't go deep inside, just get some ideas on how it is and what is it is, because you're not going to work on the databases, right? So you'll have some simple knowledge on that, okay? So there are few points to remember, guys, which is the RDS run on virtual machines. Remember these 4 points, whatever I have written, and it will be useful when you work on the AWS services. surprisingly, I was talking um, okay, I'll tell you later. So RDS runs on virtual machines, and you cannot log in to this operating system. Just read it again. RDS runs on virtual machines. So here the virtual machines will be, what will be the virtual machine? So the question is to you, which service act as the virtual machines in AWS?
EC2.
Exactly, the EC2 instances. So RDS runs on the EC2 instances. RDS runs on virtual machines, and those virtual machines is nothing but the instances, EC2 instances. Okay, and just a second, guys, I'm getting a call. So you cannot log into this operating system. What is this? You cannot log into this operating system. What is this meaning? Meaning you will not have access to this operating system where the databases are running. That's why it is a fully managed service by AWS. You don't have to manage anything by yourself. It is.
So which means we don't want to create any instance. So
No, you don't
then,
have to create any instance. You don't have to create any instance. Whenever you create the database, it will create instance in behind for you. You cannot see that instance also. Okay, it will create an instance, and that instance you can see in the dashboard. You can see only that it is running, but you cannot log into that instance. You cannot see that instance in the EC2 dashboard. You will only see that instance in the RDS dashboard, but you cannot able to connect to that instance. Got it? Yeah. And the patching of RDS OS and DB is Amazon's responsibility. As it's fully managed, they are the responsible person who can upgrade or do the patching of the OS and DB. That's why the administration part or the DBA part is completely taken care by the AWS. It's completely taken care by the Amazon. And RDS is not serverless, but Aurora is. RDS is not serverless, but Aurora is. That means Amazon Aurora is a serverless database. Okay. Now, let's talk about this points and all. Let's talk about, okay, there are two types of backups. These are the whatever the things I'm just talking, right? Definitely, if you are going to give interviews on AWS, right, and cloud, definitely they all ask questions on databases if the requirement is related to the database site, right? They definitely will ask on the RDS side if they have requirements. So there are two different type of backups. One is the automated backup, and the other one is the database snapshot. Database snapshot. Okay. So what is this database snapshot? So the automated backups and the database snapshot. So the automated backup and all the snapshots will be automatically taken by the RDS. Only the things only you have to select it. So what is the automated backup does? The automated backup allows you to recover the database to any point in time with a retention period. The retention period can be between 1 to 35 days. Okay. It is better if we can, let me just check. Got it. Let me finish first this backup things, and we have many more things to learn, which I think I'll cover in another class, which is not possible. I'll complete the back of things and then we'll have a demo class. We'll have a lab class. Okay. Let me first complete this one. So just try to understand the automated backups always allows you to recover the database to any point in time. So what is this point in time? Point in time within the retention period. So the point in time, the time when the database is getting written, when if there is some data is getting inserted or written to the database, those data also will be taken the backup by the automated backups. Point in time, whatever the things comes will be taken the backup. Within the retention period, the retention period can be between 1 to 35 days. Automated backups will take full daily snapshot and will also store transaction logs throughout the day. So guys, I think we have not completed the snapshot, right? In the EC2 section, have we completed the snapshot?
No.
No. Okay. Maybe that's why the snapshot. Okay, that's fine. The snapshot I'll just take after this database classes. I'll show you how we can take the snapshot of the EC2 instances. That's quite useful. And the image part and the snapshot, I think I have not covered it in the EC2 part. That will be taken care. Okay, don't worry. So will be fully the snapshot, right? Snapshot, and will also store the transaction logs throughout the day. When we do a recovery, AWS will first choose the recent daily backup and then apply transaction logs relevant to that day. This allows us to do a point in time recovery down to a second within the retention period. Automated backups are enabled by default. Remember this point. Automated backups are enabled by default. The backup data is stored in S3 and you get free storage space equal to the size of your database. Got this point, guys? This is very simple, right? Automated backups are enabled by default. But here, the backup data is stored in S3 and you get free storage space equal to the size of your database. The backup data is stored in S3 and you get free storage space equal to the size of your database. That means if the size of your database is 10 GB, you get 10 GB worth storage free. If your database instance is having 1 terabyte, you will get 1 terabyte of S3 storage free. Got my point, right? So that is why it's actually gives free to do the business and keep intact with your database services. See, the first thing is why you need the storage, right? If you're coming something in your mind, because we have the database of 1 terabyte, and again, 1 terabyte storage, why we need it? Can anybody tell what could be the useful of this 1 terabyte or 10 GB extra S3 what provides?
For
backup.
Yes. So for backups, any things you take the dump file of your database or any backups, if you want to store, you can store in the S3. Okay, that's why it's very good service. It provides that the amount of storage you got, the database size you got, the same amount of storage it provides free. Backups are taken within a defined window. Backups are taken within a defined window. During the backup window, storage input may be suspended while your data is being backed up and you may experience some latency. So here, when you set up this by default, it takes, but you have to set up the windows. Normally, when there is a backup is taken, right, there is a slowness. You may face some latency issues, like the data which may be written, the fractions of milliseconds could be take more, some more, few more seconds or few more milliseconds. But that is not visible. That's not, cannot be experienced, but it will be experienced, but that cannot be counted as. Okay. Next is database snapshots. This is the automated backup, will be automatically, the backup will be taken based on the window you set up, and the snapshot are done manually. They are stored even after you delete the original RDS instance, unlike automated backups. So unlike automated backups, what happens? The backups, what happens? If you want, suppose the database is linked, it will be deleted, and the backups will be gone, or you can retain in some different, like in S3 or somewhere, right? But DB snapshots is done manually, and they're stored even after you delete the original RDS instance. The same snapshot can be saved there, even you delete the original RDS instances. Immediately you can get the snapshot and create another instances quickly with everything intact. All schemas, all database data, everything will be there. But in case of backups, what happens? You'll be only taken the backup of a data, right? And if you want to recover it, what you have to do? Again, you have to create, if the database is completely deleted or the table is completely deleted, even you have to create a new schema on that, then you have to insert all the records, whatever backup was taken, right? That is the difference, the snapshot and the backup. Now, restoring the backup. Whenever you restore either an automated backup or a manual snapshot, the restored version of the database will be a new RDS instance with a new DNS endpoint. This endpoint, whatever we are talking about, the DNS endpoint, right? If you see the DNS endpoint of the original DB will be original.ap. So suppose this is the name. And if once it is restored, the endpoint of DNS will be changed. And this is the endpoint through which we can connect and access the databases. I'll show you in demo in class how we can, after this backups and all, how we'll do that. Okay. Now, okay, these things will, this part, multi-disaster recovery and read replica things we'll learn in our next class with the demo of both disaster recovery and faster performance read replica. Okay, so far whatever we have learned, let's have a demo. So let's log into your ping. Okay, you have to database console. Okay, it is taking some time to load it. Just give me a few minutes. Okay, so what you can do, search for RDS. Okay, or you can go to the services and check with the database, and here you can find RDS. Okay, search for this RDS. We have many other services, but we're not going to learn everything. Just go with this RDS management console, and you'll find here, and this is a region specific. Okay, this is region specific. If you feel here, if you want to create the database in a different region, then you have to change the region here, and it will be loaded. The databases will be created. Okay. So I'm okay with this database to be created on the Asia Pacific Mumbai. Guys, my voice is clear, right?
Yes.
Okay, it's fine, but it's taking too much of time to get clear. Okay, so here you can see here the RDS database. This is the RDS database dashboard, right? And you can see here, if you just see this resources details, right? We have DB instances, like 20 DB instances, right? In the Asia Pacific, for Asia Pacific Mumbai, we can have 20 instances. But I can see here I have one instance which is still running in this. I think I had created once. I think it's still running. I have one instances, okay, which are running. And if you just if you see here, we have this allocated storage is 100 terabyte. Okay, allocated storage is 100 terabyte, but out of 100 terabyte, it is being used 0.01 TB. And here the parameters group, and here the snapshots, the manual and automated. If you can see here, the nothing is there, 0 0 DB cluster 0, reserve instances 0, and all these things. Let me see what is this DB instances and when it was created. I think it was created a long back, and I have never. Okay, I think I was doing some demo, and it has created. Fine. Check the logs and the event. Nothing is there. Mm, Nothing is there. Anyway, it was created on 21st August 2022. Maybe I have not checked my bills. I think it will be more. Okay, I'll check it. Fine. Let me first delete this one. So be very careful, guys. Whenever you are creating any DB instances, right? Make sure that you delete everything. Okay. I missed it because it was created automatically by the Terraform tool. Okay, that's why I think I missed to check it. So let me delete this one manually. So what we can do, DB identifier first, delete. To confirm, you have to type delete. Okay, and what is it? Delete me. Delete me. Okay, delete it. So it's deleting. Okay, so let it be deleted. It's getting deleted. Now what you can do here, go to dashboard again, and we can see here we have one options called create database, right? What it says, if you read this first warnings or first message, whatever they have given, try the new Amazon RDS multi-AG deployment option for MySQL and PostgreSQL. For your Amazon RDS for MySQL and PostgreSQL workloads, improve transactional commit latencies by 2x, experience faster failover, typically less. So just follow whatever is given here if you want to. And we have multiple documentations regarding this also. If you want to view, you can just go to these articles on tutorials and documentations on the RDS, everything you can find on this right hand side. But let me go ahead and create. So this DB instance is getting terminated. Let's go ahead and create one more database. So what you'll get it here, we have two options here, standard create and easy create. So what is the standard create? You set all the configuration options and including ones for your availability, security backups, and maintenance. Easy create is use recommended best practice configuration, which is provided by AWS. It's up to you whether you want to use the standard one or easy create. So I'll go with the standard one. And here, see, I had taken the snap picture from here itself. Okay. So this is the engine options, which database engine do you need? Okay. So MariaDB, Aurora, MySQL, compatible, right? Compatible, Oracle, Postgres, and all. Let's select MySQL. So I'm little have some experience on this, knowledge on MySQL statement. So I can write on this. I can show you MySQL. If you have all these things, Postgres and all, you can go ahead and choose. But the similar setups are similar. Okay. Select the MySQL, and you have to select the engine version. Whatever the engine you selected, here I selected MySQL, and it is you have to engine which versions you have to select. Let me go with 5.7.37. Okay, what it says, MySQL engine versions earlier than A0 don't support the newest MC6 and RC6 generation instance classes. Here is a questions for you. Can any one of you explain me this particular line? And here is a trick. Just explain me.
About choosing the versions, like if it is older version, it doesn't support. If something new version, then it supports this.
What is this?
Classes, it's classes.
Okay. If you remember, right, in the EC2, we had the instance type. We had multiple instance types like T2 micro, T2 nano, M6, R6, or like lots of instance type classes are there, right? Similarly, as it is using the instances, the virtual machines, the databases when we create it also get installed. It creates one virtual machine in the backend and install the database on that machine. So when we select the engines prior to 8.0, 8.0.17, it will not support these two types of instance type, M6G and R6G generation. That means whatever the virtual machines it will create in behind, it will not support this particular instance generations. Okay. So that's okay, 5.7. Now the template, whether choose a sample template to meet your use cases. So either production and dev test. I cannot go with production, it will charge me more. So let's go with free tier. Okay. Use RDS free tier to develop new application, test existing applications, that gain hands-on experience with the Amazon RDS. This is the best to use. Select the free tier. And remember, if you are using free tier, the multi-AG like the disaster and read replica, all these things will be disabled. See, everything will be disabled now. So if you use production based only, this multi-AG and single DB, these two things are coming. Okay, that means multi-AG, multiple availability zone, it will create the databases which will cost you more if you're going to use for production based. I'm not going to use for production. So that's why I cannot show you the disaster recovery things, but I can explain you in our next class.
How much is the charges? Like, do you have any idea?
Yeah, I'll show you the price calculator. Don't worry. After this one, let me finish this creation and then I'll go with the price calculator. Okay. We have the RDS price calculator also here. I'll show you that one. What is, because how it is calculated based on the instances type and all you select. Okay. So here, if you go down below, See, the DB instance type, you have to select it here. And based on the instance type, it will charge you. It's not, the calculation is based on the instance type and based on the storage you do it. So there is a calculator. I'll show you what is your requirement. Suppose your requirement is up to, let me go through, I'll show you. So here, suppose I'll go with free tier, okay, and settings, give it a DB instance identifier is nothing but your database name, is a database name, DB instance name, okay. Suppose this is database -1, let it be default. Based on your requirement, you have to give a database name, okay, and master username. So when I'll do the demo project, that time I'll just give our own database name, okay. Now credential settings, you have to set up the admin password, right? Master admin name, username is admin. Let's set up the password. At least 8 printable ASCII characters, okay. So let's set up the password. Okay, so here the instance configurations, right? When I selected the free tier, it is only giving me T3 micro, db.t3 micro. This is the only instance which is free. The rest of them are chargeable, okay. So it automatically came here. And storage type, what type of storage you want to use? General purpose, GP3, GP2, IO1. Let's select the general purpose. And allocated storage, what is the storage do you want, right? 200 gigabyte, or if you want 100 gigabytes, suppose let me keep it very less, 50 gigabytes only. Or you can give, see, minimum is 20 gigabyte. I can keep 20 also. Minimum is 20. If you keep less than that, it is giving a minimum of 20 gigabyte allocated. 20. Let's keep it 50 for safer side. 50. And storage auto scaling, enable the storage auto scaling. That is what I was telling, right? It automatically auto scale. That means, so 50 is the minimum which you allocated during the creation. If your business increases and your database also, data increases in your database and you need more storage, and you have to set up this auto scaling, right? Enable the storage auto scaling, which will automatically increase the storage based on your requirement and load. So maximum storage threshold is 1000 GB, 1000 gigabyte, right? So it can scale up to 1000 gigabyte. Let's enable 100. The connectivity, what it says, the computer.
What happens after the maximum storage goes above 1000?
Then it will not work. It will automatically not work. Then you have to modify it to increase the auto scaling one threshold.
So what are the steps to be taken after that? Like if we assume that if it is reaching more than 1000, so how do you handle this?
See, the thing is simple. You have to just simple. If you see it increases more than 1000, and it obviously it will throw error, right? There is a shortage of storage, or databases, right? So what you have to do, you have to just stop the databases, take the backup, and increase it. Then start the databases. You have to do the manual work around to start it. There is nothing automatically. Beyond that, there is no automation. The automatic was they are giving you the.
No, is already reaching maximum storage, right? So if it is 1000, is already reaching maximum, right? So in that case, do we need to create another template like this, or we have to
See,
deal it with the different things or microservices, or exact? How do we handle
don't
this
get
kind of
don't
stuff?
get don't get mixed up with everything microservices and all. Okay, it will be confusing again. See, it's not a template we are doing the setup, right? What we are creating here, first thing, try to understand what we are creating. We are creating a database.
Configuration, yeah.
We are creating a database instance, right? A DB instance. So if it increases to 1000 gigabyte, so what will happen? You can do two things here. Either if you're using this one, forget about microservices and all that is a different topic. Okay, just think about these particular databases. If you're going to create, right, either you can increase the, if you want to use the same database, same DB instance, the same database, and you want to increase it, so you can increase up to 6144 gigabyte. If it goes beyond that, you might have to create another DB instance. You have to create another
one.
DB instance. Okay,
Right.
that is manual.
Okay.
If whatever you are talking about, this microservices and containerization, that is a total different. That is will be automatically, it will be keep added. Automatically keep added another instance. Automatically keep added another instance. So there you have to use the auto scaling to automatically scale up the database storage for you.
Then what is this purpose of enabling auto scaling here in here?
No. Here is internally storage, database storage is getting up. There, what you have to do, you have to set up the auto scaling to add another database here. You understood,
Okay.
right? Suppose you have multiple database servers. Suppose 5 database servers. You have kept 5 database servers in the auto scaling group, and you are using 1 or 2 currently. So in case those has also reached the maximum storage threshold to 6000 gigabyte, and what it will do, based on the auto scaling setup, again it will automatically add another DB instance. But most of
with the same configuration, or with
the
whatever
the configurations you have to set up, but with the same
setup. Okay.
You have to set up the configuration.
All right.
Then normally what happens, the databases, most of the companies, they don't add it in the auto scaling. They don't.
Right.
It is not. It not what I'm just giving.
Recommendable.
It's not recommendable. Even companies, they don't do that. Right. It is risky of doing that, and even it is not. Though it is possible, you can add it, we can achieve it, but there are lots of things to do before we are going to create. There are still automations are there. We can still achieve that, but companies, they don't follow that process. Okay, that is not recommendable to do that.
But we are still adding this, enabling this auto scaling here.
Yeah. You have to add it. You have to add it because you never know what are the allocated storage is given. See, the maximum allocated storage is 6000 gigabyte.
Right.
If we can add 6000 gigabyte, what will happen? Unnecessary, you will pay the 6000 gigabyte, the price of the 6000 gigabyte, which you are not going to use it.
So that's included of that.
Exactly. Okay. That is included in the price, right? So you have to just minimize the allocated storage. Suppose you have to understand the business requirement. The business requirement is 100 gigabyte. Then why you have to put it there? The allocated storage is 6000 gigabyte. It's unnecessary, right? Put it 100 gigabyte, but there should be a requirement like it may increase. Then you just put it.
But you also saying that at the beginning when your presentation, like S3 storage is free, something like that, right?
Yeah. That's different. That is different. This is database storage. That is S3 storage is totally object-based storage. That is to store. That is why I asked question, right? Why you need S3 storage? What you answered?
Right. Just you were mentioning about the free storage whenever you created this.
Why we need this free storage? Why they are providing it? That's why I was asking question, right? If they are providing 10 gigabyte of database storage, then why they are providing S3 storage of 10 gigabyte?
Gotcha.
To store the backups, to store the backup file, because it is of the S3 is an object-based storage, right? That is an object-based storage where you can store the objects like the database backup file, the dump file. You can store there. But here it's a database storage. This is totally different, and that is totally different.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
No worries. Now, what we'll do here, the compute resources. What it says, don't connect to an EC2 compute resource, connect to EC2 compute resource. set up a connection to an EC2 compute resource for this database. It's up to you. What is each compute resource? Choose whether to set up a connection to a compute resource for this database. Setting up a connection will automatically change the connectivity settings so that compute resources can connect to this database. If you want to connect this database through your EC2 compute resources, you can select this one and choose the instance, which instance you want to. There are no C2 instances exist, so don't connect. Select this one. IPv4 or dual stack. Either you want to for IPv4 or IPv6, keep it, or network type. Okay, IPv4. Virtual private cloud. I'm selecting default as we have not covered the VPC yet. DB subnet group. Let's select it as default. Public access. No. RDS assigns a public address to the database. Amazon EC2 instance and other resources outside of the VPC can connect to the database. Weapon, mostly we never provide public access to the database. That is most important whenever you are working on the database side. Remember, we never provide public access to the database. All right. So here, the database, you have to select no. VPC, security group. Okay, if you want, select yes. If you are doing a demo for me, let's keep it as yes so that I'll show you. Now, VPC security group firewall, choose existing, and if I have any existing available, you have lots of there. Yes, let it be there. LAMP ST. Why is selected LAMP ST? I'll tell you. Let's remove this default. Select this LAMP ST. Okay, I selected this LAMP ST. Availability zone, no preference. It will automatically take which one is available. Proxy, I don't need it. Certification authority, let it be default. Additional configurations. Okay, here the database port is 3306. So default port of the MySQL is 3306. That's why I selected the LAMP SG security group, which is having this port 3306 firewall. 3306 is whitelisted. That access has been granted to this 3306 in this security group. That's why I added it here. That's okay. For you, yeah, either you can create a new security group, VPC security group, and add it there. That's fine. Now, database authentication, password authentication. I need this password authentication. That's fine. Monitoring, I'm not going to show you now. Here is the estimated monthly cost. See, guys, read it properly. What it says, the Amazon RDS free tier is available to you for 12 months. It is the free tier is available to you for 12 months. So there is some limit of free storage, that is up to 20 GB only they are providing free. The rest they will be that will be chargeable. Okay, what it says, Amazon RDS free tier is available to you for 12 months. Each calendar month, the free tier will allow you to use the Amazon RDS resource listed below for free. 750 hours RDS instance in the single availability zone, either DB2 micro, T3 micro, T4G micro. These category instances it is providing, these classes they're providing free. And the size is only 20 GB, 20 gigabyte, up to 20 gigabyte free. I
think you need to change it to 20, I think, over there.
No, that's okay. I'll delete after this class, right? I'll delete, but better let me create it 20. Okay.
If you forgot again, it's going to be billing.
Yeah, it will go to the billing exactly. Thank you. So it's a 20 gigabyte. So what will happen here? So same 20 gigabyte for automated backup also it is giving free. Okay, and it has the pricing page. It has the pricing. That is what I was telling. I'll show you the pricing page here. They have the pricing calculator, and if you want, you can just follow this pricing calculator here. For everything, they have a calculator. I'm not going to explain you. As if you have to just explore by yourself now. Let me ping you this link. Go ahead and explore about more on this pricing and just have a look. Anyway, you have to follow this documentation always if you are working on the AWS cloud. Okay. So now go ahead and create the database. See, lots of things you have to do setups. It's not so easy with the databases, right? You have to be very careful whenever you are creating the database. Change your password. The password that you just used was found in data reach. Google Password Manager. Never. So you can see here the DB identifier name is database hyphen one. This is the database hyphen one, which is nothing but your database name of your database. Through this, you have to connect to the databases and all. Okay. So here we can just go ahead and the status you can see here. The engine MySQL community, it created as we gave no preference, it created in availability AP South 1B and DB3 T3 micro, and the status is creating, and all these things you can find it over here, right? So let's refresh this, wait for a few minutes, let it be get created. It will take some time, gets created. Okay, be patient. It will take at least 1 or 2 minutes, I think. Just wait for 2 minutes.
What about the Aurora, sir? This one is saying no serverless like that. Is but in the when we're creating the database is also mentioned there about the Aurora.
Yeah, Aurora actually serverless in the sense it will not create the EC2 instances, but it will create the Lambda functions there. Okay.
Lambda.
Lambda functions which will be which will act as the serverless. Okay, and that is totally different. And Aurora companies, they don't use mostly. So who are good into the artificial intelligence, machine learnings, and kind of serverless programming and all, they might be using this one. But Aurora, mm, very less. Okay, mostly this real RDS being used as relational databases like MySQL, SQL Server, right? All those things are working. One second. It will take time actually.
Have you come across any NoSQL in your projects in your previous companies?
But with AWS, yes, we were using that SQL Server one with AWS. But we have used SQL, Oracle also, Oracle and SQL, Microsoft SQL Server. These two databases we are using. But Oracle, we are using Oracle Engine separate individual machines. We used to separate Oracle installations we had done. But
No, but no SQL.
no SQL. MySQL we have used. But MySQL is actually that was for one of the one of the I think web application, because MySQL mostly used for one of the mostly used for web applications, right? MySQLs. So I was working on that part of the MySQL things, the web application side, and we had both Oracle, SQL Server, and MySQL. It's different view, right? Different unit, different databases were there.
So does they have the DB engineer separately, or it's in our job like
it will not be your job. It will not be your job. It will be database team's part. It will be database team's part. But why you learning? As a cloud engineer, you should, because everything is going to be in the cloud. But database engineer, they'll tell you, right? These things happens on the cloud. Then what you have to do as a cloud engineer, you should know, right? Where to go and what is the DB identifier, what is the engine, and where to check. You should know. That's why you have to learn. You have to treat yourself as a cloud engineer or a solution architect. Then you should know about the database services, right?
So in that criteria, like what will be our job to do it, like this creation of databases and IAM roles or something else?
No. See, the creation of databases, and you have to just create the DB instances and databases on the cloud. It could be your part. Okay, that's a different roles, guys. See, for a developer, a cloud, we either you could be a AWS developer, like the database, like any services, whatever you are using, could be a developer, or you could be a solution architect. You could be a security architect, say AWS security part. You can handle. You can handle different other parts of the like associate developer of AWS. So different roles are there. Okay, so it's not like that you have to like what are the services. See, this is the database services that will be separately. Database guys will be there in your team, in your company, who will work on those databases. But as you are the solution architect, or you are the administrator, sorry, you are the cloud engineer, your responsibility will be divided. Suppose you are a solution architect, even you don't have to create all this. You have to give a solutions to the management, that this is what we have to use and all. But as with the solution architect, you have, if you are an administrator, cloud administrator, then you might need to create all the databases and all. It's up to the company level how they have distributed the roles and responsibility within the tag, right, within the team, within the roles, right? So that's different, depends on the company to company. But definitely the database people, you don't have to work on the database. You have to only work on the creating part, on the cloud things, because as a cloud engineer, your responsibility to set up the databases, to set up the DB identifier on the cloud, okay? And then provide the other things to them. I'll show you what things you have to provide them. Okay, so here, yeah, it's available now. After a few minutes, it's available now, and it has the size T3 micro and all. And you can see here the database is available, right? Now let's click on this, and you will find DB identifier CPU not at the current activity is not yet captured, right? Availability and all these things, you find it here. And this is the endpoint which you need to connect your database. This is the endpoint which you need to connect your database. And this is the monitoring, okay, connect, and this is the port, and you have to use this port also. Okay, and here all this informations available related to this, the security groups and all these things, database replications, all these things available here. Okay, so guys, that's for today. Just do this practice. Maybe tomorrow, not tomorrow, maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow. If tomorrow, then tomorrow morning itself, I'll just intimate you whether we can connect tomorrow also to have this class. I'll show you tomorrow how you can connect using this endpoint to the database through manually. Also, I'll show you with a project also. I'll do a small application, and I'll connect, I'll create, I have one API through, and I'll show you how we can add this server in that API and connect. Okay, that is the automated way. And I'll show you manually how we can connect to the database inside and create and do executions of your commands and queries. Okay, so far, just I'll just share these videos maybe after this class or tomorrow morning, most probably today or tomorrow morning. Just have a look and go through that, and when we do the practice maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow, then we'll do, and it will be fun, guys. See this part here the cloud engineer part is over. Once you created your part is over, only you have to hand over this endpoint to the database team, to the developer. Okay, and after that you don't have to do anything. It's over up to here. But I'm showing you extra how we can go beyond that, just for a lookup inside the database. Okay, just for a lookup to inside, in case any issues happen, so that as a cloud engineer should able to suggest or advise to the people. For your reference, I'll show you, okay, in our next class. So that's the database is created, and in our next class we'll talk about disaster recovery, we'll talk about read replica and all. Any doubt, guys?